Hello, and welcome to JDUB and Friends. With my special guest, my friend, Hero They Call Me. How you doing tonight?
Not too bad. It's cold in Canada, but what else is new?
Yeah, I know how it is. You're my actually second Canadian that I've had on the podcast now, so
That's cool.
yeah, I think that I'm gonna end up with as many Canadians as there are Canadian hockey teams now.
Yeah, nice.
But yeah, I've been watching Hero They Call Me for a while now. Been on his Twitch, his YouTube. If you are kind of curious about watching him, let me go ahead and go to his channel. Here's his YouTube channel, which it's been about a month since he's uploaded anything on YouTube, but still,
Yeah, YouTube's pretty much dead to me.
yeah,
At this point. What will go up on my YouTube is now pretty much like the long plays of Twitch streams, but I'll edit them down so they're not like you won't get like the ready screen and be right backs and all that. Then shorts and all that. But
oh,
there's lots of different Let's Plays on there if you're into that kind of thing.
that's yeah. About to say, Assassin's Creed Syndicate, yeah, or
Hmm.
first two episodes,
Hmm. That's
and
literally the whole game. Those two episodes.
Octopath Traveler.
Yeah,
Assassin's Creed 4. There's a lot of games on here.
yeah.
But this is his bread and butter. His Twitch.
Hmm.
Excuse me, ads. But his bread and butter. Uh, Played some Pokemon, some Zelda. He's played some Assassin's Creed, Mario Party. He looks like a lot of retro games.
Yeah,
Basically, lots of different things.
lots of
Yeah,
variety going
yeah,
on.
yeah. A lot. Yesterday played some Pokemon, but if it was Mario.
Hmm.
And then like 4 days ago, Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, which is a great game,
Hmm.
very
Yeah,
underrated,
yeah. First time playing through it. It's fun. Enjoy it.
so much fun. Um, all right. So, do you have Xbox Game Pass by chance?
Yes, of course.
All right. Did you see they added 50 retro gaming classics to it?
I did see that. A lot of them were Atari games. I saw,
Yep.
anyways. Yeah, like a ton of Atari games. Because my friend was like, "Oh, they added there's SNES games, but it was like I can't remember what game it was. There's only like one game, Mech Warrior or something like that from the Super Nintendo or something like that,
Yep.
which is kind of funny."
Yeah, they got a bunch of them. Activision Prototype, Atlantis, Atlantis 2, some PlayStation 1 games, which were weird, but
Hmm.
this one, Mech Warrior 2, are you know, big ones because a lot of people haven't played those two. Pitfalls.
Hmm.
Uh, I mean, you got Space Quest, which is funny because they got Space Quest 2 and Space Quest 6, so it's like Final Fantasy all over again.
I was saying it'd be real weird if like one day you just turn it on for some reason, like you could play Mario on your Xbox or something like that. That'd be so weird.
It would definitely be weird, yeah.
It's like I'm just gonna play a little Super Mario on my Xbox right now. I
Right.
would love that.
Yeah. Apparently they got new features include save and reload functionality, which wasn't often available in the original, so you think.
Hmm.
They also have challenges, achievements, challenge modes, high score rankings. Players can even create community challenges that run for 24 hours. It's kind of cool what they're doing. It's kind of like Rare Replay, but I guess a little
Yeah,
meh.
yeah. Atari replay.
Yep, yep. And I was telling him, because I was trying to think of other news. I know the owner of the Colts, Jim Irsay, died a couple days ago,
Hmm.
and also the push for anybody that's an Eagles fan or non-Eagles fan knows
Nobody's
that
an
nickname.
Eagles fan.
I'm an Eagles fan, but
I know.
yeah, they the tush push didn't get banned, so that's good news.
I don't know
But
why they would try to ban it. It's a football play. There's nothing
uh,
illegal about it.
I know, right? That's what I thought too. But tonight I was trying to think of a tier list, and NHL really didn't have very many good tier lists, so I was like, screw it. We're doing a 2024-2025 NHL jerseys tier list, whatever we
Ooh, all
want.
right. I
So
dig
like
that.
best best jersey S, worst jersey D. I was gonna do F, but I was like, they're not too bad, I guess. But yeah, there's every team in here. I think Utah has their old, yeah, like their this year's one. So next year will probably change. But
It's still the same jersey, just different logo. So it's not
yeah,
much of a difference. Yeah.
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 But I guess we'll start with your Bruins.
Probably a B for
Okay.
Boston. It makes sense.
Yeah,
I
they
don't
won.
think I like the logo, but this honestly the one I'm wearing, the reverse not the reverse retro, but the what was it last year, their anniversary jersey
Mhm.
or whatever was one of my favorites. Then I think they're rebranding next year to more of a early 90s look, which is top tier in my opinion. So when that jersey comes out, I might change my mind.
There you go. Let's get back to this. So then we got Buffalo Sabres, which I have never liked these jerseys. That's just me though.
I don't mind the white one. The
Mhm.
blue one though is 'cause I don't like the addition of the gray line that's underneath the yellow. That's what
Yeah,
bothers me. I'd probably put it in like I don't think it's the worst, but I put it like C tier. It's nothing special.
I like the old school '90s Buffalo Sabres
The black and
jerseys.
red.
Yep. You see,
Yeah.
what tier did you want in? Sorry, how was that?
C's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, Red Wings, which one of my favorite jerseys of all sports, but I just think it's
You don't
it's not
you don't
like
got an F.
it's just easy. It's easy. It's not too much. Not it's two
I
colors.
like the jersey. I'd probably put it in A, honestly.
Okay. Yeah.
It's classic. It's
Yeah.
just two colors, cool logo. Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Nothing wrong with that.
The Florida Panthers.
Good hockey team, but I hate them. Uh, I'm not a big fan, honestly. I hate the logo. I love the old logo, like the
Yep.
jumping panther with the two claws coming after you. So I'd probably go D, honestly, for the Panthers.
Yeah, I agree with that one. My beer's kind of runs slow. Uh, Carolina Hurricanes. That's another one I
Uh,
don't really like the
that's
new.
also a D. It's terrible. It's god
Yeah.
awful. It's god
Yeah.
awful.
Used to look a lot better with the actual hurricane, and now it's like, well, let's see what we can do. Columbus, the Blue Jackets.
Also a D.
Oh, you don't like the Blue
I like
Jackets?
I like the logo. I think it's
Hmm.
pretty cool, but the jersey's just so bland. Just
Yeah.
dark blue, dark red, and some white. And it's like there's nothing to it.
The Devils.
Uh, for some reason, I prefer their '90s. I don't know what the difference is really between the '90s. I think the stripes are just different. Like they're
Yeah.
in different spots. But I'd probably still go like B for the Devils. It's not bad.
Islanders.
Hmm. You know what? Let's go off the path here and go A for the Islanders.
Oh
I like
wow.
it. I like the color scheme.
Hmm.
I like the logo.
It's really close.
The Islanders themselves aren't great, but they've been bad for. But they're weird. They've been bad. Like you feel like they're going to be terrible, and somehow they're good, and then when you feel like they're going to be good, they're terrible.
Yeah,
That's an S
definitely.
tier jersey. Blackhawks.
Really?
Yeah, I love the Blackhawks jersey.
Hmm.
Love the logo. Love the jersey.
Yeah.
Just classic. It hasn't changed either. It's like Detroit in that way. It's like been the same thing forever.
Hasn't changed yet, but it will in the future when they decide they
See,
want to go Blackhawks no more.
yeah, the thing is, like, if we were ranking just logos itself, this
Hmm.
list would be different. But we're doing jersey slash logo mixed into it, and sometimes, like Colorado, for example, that's coming up next. If we were just doing logos, I put that S tier, but
Yeah.
with the jersey, probably A. It's a
Hmm.
little bit lower.
I
Nothing,
understand. Yeah.
nothing crazy.
I can't stand the Colorado Avalanche, but that's because I'm a Red Wings fan, and through
Yeah,
the
yeah,
'90s, that was whole.
yeah.
Yeah. Dallas Stars. I do not like their new
That's
logo.
F. I hate it. I hate it so much. I hate the color and I hate the logo. I love the the old logo and the old jersey.
Hmm. Yeah. It seems like a lot of the jerseys gone bland now.
Yeah,
For some
yeah.
sports.
Because the '90s were very like, I guess like they went away from tradition and they were
Yeah.
like, let's make some weird shit. Like the Ducks, for example, the Mighty Ducks
Yeah. It's
jerseys, and
weird.
stuff like that. Uh, they got the Minnesota Wild. Like for example, Minnesota has my favorite logo in hockey.
Oh,
Like
really?
by far. Yeah. It's a bear. It's got a North Star for an eye. It's got a moon, and it has the outline of the trees for the wild aspect of Minnesota. It's a beautiful logo. Jersey on their head is not great. I'm gonna put it in a C.
Okay. Yeah, I it's kind of crazy because like that's one of those jerseys that you think it's just just a logo or a picture or something
Yeah, like
like
an
that, and then you
animal.
kind of
Yeah,
look at it and you're like, oh, it is an animal, like stuff like that. It's like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah. I've always loved the wild logo.
yeah.
Uh,
I remember they the North Stars.
yeah, yeah.
Oh man,
Anaheim Ducks, no longer the Mighty Ducks, but they have the Mighty Ducks logo
yeah,
now.
which don't make sense.
I still think it would look way better if it was the old like eggplant and teal that it
Hmm.
was, but it's still nice. I'd probably put it in A, honestly.
A tier, that's nice. The Calgary Flames.
That's
Mm,
S all day. That's one of my favorites.
It's
I
iconic too.
love, I love it. The color scheme's great. Just it pops. It's such a nice logo.
Yeah, it's an iconic jersey. It's just kind of, it's been around forever at this point. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's just
they,
since they were in Atlanta,
yep.
literally. So
Which is sad because Atlanta's had like two different teams. They've lost both.
yeah.
uh, Oilers.
See, if we were ranking the Oilers from was it 2 years ago, where they had those ugly ass pure orange
Oh God,
jerseys,
not
they'd be dead
those.
last.
Hmm.
But since they're with the dark blue and the bright orange, I like those. I'd go A.
Okay. Remember their old, their like jersey they had for like maybe 2 years or something like that. Looked like an actual like nut.
Yeah, yeah. They had a little weird like I think it was supposed to be like shooting oil or something.
Yeah.
It was so strange looking. Yeah,
It was like, what is this?
yeah. It was an alternate. I think they wore in like the early 2000s or something
Yeah.
like that.
It was so ugly. It was like, why? LA Kings.
The I like the logo
Hmm.
because it's the Gretzky era Kings.
Yeah.
I hate how big those stripes are
Yeah.
on it.
That's.
It's huge. It's way too big. If they were smaller, I think it'd be an S tier. But the fact that they're so big, I'd probably just put it in B.
It's so weird how like NHL has a stripe thing. It's like like almost every team has stripes.
Yeah,
It's so
Colorado's
weird.
different.
Yeah. It's like why? What was there a limit for having everybody have stripes? But I don't know. The Canadians,
Mm,
which is kind of cool because they have the H for the Habs in the middle.
hmm Yeah, you could turn it side. It also looks like a toilet seat if you
Yeah.
look at it, though.
Yeah.
That's classic. Yo, S. As
Okay.
much as I hate Montreal Canadiens, even though I'm from Montreal, I
Mhm.
can't stand them. But it's a classic jersey. There's nothing wrong with it. Like once again, tradition hasn't changed.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong.
Ottawa Senators, who haven't been good since Ray Bonk and Daniel Alfredson and a
Danny
few other
Heatley.
guys. Yeah, been there.
I'd probably go B for the Senators as well. I like the logo. I don't like the almost pure black jersey though for them.
Yeah, they used to have the nice white jerseys back in the day that
Yeah,
looked really
their
cool.
white jersey that they have for like their away jersey is really nice
Yeah.
compared to that. I just don't like how pure black it is. I wish it was a red jersey
Mm.
instead.
Oh man, the Tampa Bay Lightning, which I think is the one of the most unoriginal jerseys in NHL.
I'd honestly put them and Toronto in the exact same category, and it's going to be D because they look exactly the same.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like the
just
only difference is Toronto's like let's have our stripes spaced, and Toronto and Tampa's like let's have a big block. Instead,
yeah,
it's the exact same jersey. There's nothing different about it.
yeah, it's weird.
I like Toronto's logo, but
Hmm.
besides that,
Yeah. The Rangers.
so I feel like I'm going to contradict myself because I was like it's classic, and the Rangers haven't changed in
Yeah.
forever, but I don't think it's like S.
Yeah, Rangers are weird
We'll go
because
B.
okay. Yeah, the Rangers are a weird one because like they spell it out and it's like like Islanders at least, try and make a logo with their name and everything. The Rangers are just like, screw it, we're just making our name.
Yeah, they've been like that forever though, so it's
Yeah.
kind of
Uh
the Flyers. I love the Flyers
Flyers.
jersey. That's an S tier for me. I love it. Reminds me of Eric Lindros, and I love Eric Lindros. So
Eric Lindros, John LeClaire,
Yeah, the Legion of Doom line that they had.
Van Beesbrook.
Hmm.
Ooh, Pittsburgh Penguins.
That's also an S tier jersey. I'm so glad they went back to that. I hated when they've changed their jersey plenty of times, but I hated when when Crosby first came in and they changed the whole get up, made it like that weird, like actual gold instead of yellow,
Yeah.
and wasn't the look.
Uh.
Not at all.
Washington Capitals.
It's god awful. That's a D.
The only thing I like about theirs is the L being the
Yeah, it's such
T
an
being
old
the
because that's their first logo when they came in to the
Mhm.
league, and I just can't stand that jersey. It's just so bland. There's
Yeah,
nothing to it. They have the reverse retros they have, like with the screaming eagle on the front and all that. That stuff's cool, but
definitely.
the cap, that's just boring to me.
Yeah. Nashville Predators.
The banana jerseys.
Yep.
My friend's a big Preds fan, so I'll do him solid and put it as an A tier.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I love the logo for one
Mhm.
for the Predators. It's great, and I don't mind the jersey. It was a bit jarring at first when they
Yeah.
first switched to it to make it all yellow, but I think they added the more blue onto the arms and the bottom, and I think it pops well. So,
Yeah, it looks a lot better than it used to.
mm-hmm.
Speaking of a jersey, they changed just a little bit. I don't like is the Blues. Like that.
Yeah,
Their
I like the old
logo.
jersey.
Yeah, that color. The
Like
Blues color is not great.
the one they wore for like the reverse retros, where it's just like the old school like baby blue, I guess more so,
Mhm.
and like it pops with the yellow and just the white and not like the dark blue undertones is so much better.
Yeah.
Also, the Blues beat my Bruins in the Stanley Cup, so they're D tier.
Yeah, I just don't like that they changed
with the Florida Panthers, because same
right.
thing.
Utah, which will be they'll
Also,
have a
also
different
D
logo.
tier.
Yeah, they're gonna have a
It's
different
just such
logo
a
next year.
Yeah, it's just such a boring jersey though. I was hoping they were gonna go like the basketball route of the Jazz with like the purple and like the blue look,
Mhm.
which I think would have actually made them stand out because no
Yeah.
one wears purple. But they took this is a black jersey with the blue stripe and a white stripe.
Yep. Yeah, I no, I wish they would have gone with the Blizzard instead of the name they went with. Because like they have the Jazz, which has two Z's, and then they could have the
Mm-hmm.
Utah Blizzard, which had
Mm-hmm.
two Z's in it. But
The
no.
fact that the team is Utah Jazz is hilarious. So like no one's
Yeah.
listening to Jazz in Utah.
Nope. And now this used to be, if you're old enough to remember, the Jets used to be in the AHL way back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
early '90s. They got moved to, oh my goodness, why am I drawing a blank? Oh crap!
It
What did
was
they get?
Atlanta.
Yep, that's what it was. Yep.
They became the Thrashers.
Yeah. Yep. And then
Yeah.
moved again.
Yep.
But
The
no.
garbage.
Yeah, I do like this new Jets logo though. I feel like the old
Wait,
one
did
was
it?
the
Now I'm
worst.
trying. No, they went to Phoenix. Sorry, they
Yeah, Phoenix. Sorry.
Atlanta jumped to Winnipeg, and then
Yeah.
Winnipeg went to Phoenix. That's how that worked. My
Yeah.
bad. I like their once again their alternate that has the old Jets logo, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
just the dark blue and the dark red. That jersey is one of my favorite jerseys. This one I do not like. It's D.
Oh really?
I don't.
See,
I never liked the logo.
hmm. That's
Never liked
crazy.
it. It's based off of the Canadian Air Force, by the way. No,
Yeah.
but I've just never been a fan of it. I think if it had a different color scheme, maybe I'd like the jersey a bit more. But
Mm-hmm. I
because the
understand.
logo's not terrible, but
San Jose Sharks.
once again, another team that had a reverse retro that was better than their actual jerseys. But
Yeah.
one of the cooler logos, decent jerseys, different color. For
Mm-hmm.
one, it's not black or a dark blue.
Yeah, no teal.
Yeah, it's a nice teal. I'd probably go A tier.
Okay. Oh man. All right, here we go. Seattle Kraken.
I'd probably go A tier again, just because it's cool. It's different. The logo's sick.
Yeah, it's or different now than it doesn't look like any of the other Seattle teams they had at one point. The Canucks, which thankfully they got rid of that awful that awful like brown orange junk they had in like the early
I,
90s.
I like that better than this.
Ugh.
I love the ugly puck jersey that they have.
Ugh.
They used to have an all yellow jersey too, which was like
Yeah.
yellow with like red and
Yeah. No.
eyesore. But yeah, the colors is like they don't work. I like dark blue and light green doesn't work for me. That's a D tier.
Okay. And then
I like the logo. Logo's cool, but
yeah, newest team or second newest team uh is Vegas Golden Knights.
yeah, if we were voting based off their like starting jersey, the one that was like just gray for some
Yeah.
reason, then I would put them D. But this is like a C tier. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they
I
could do a
like
lot more.
I like that they actually made the jersey gold. I don't know why they didn't do that to begin with.
Who
Team's name's the
knows?
Golden Knights. They're coming out in gray uniforms.
Yeah. So let's see, we got Blackhawks, Flames, Canadians, uh Flyers and Penguins in S tier, Red Wings, Islanders, Avalanche, Ducks, Oilers, Predators, Sharks, Kraken in A tier. B is for the Bruins, New York, New Jersey Devils, which is weird because it looks kind of like New York with the logo, but Los Angeles Kings, Ottawa Senators, New York Rangers, the terrible Buffalo Sabres logo. I hate that thing. In C, Minnesota Wild in C, and Las Vegas Knights, Golden Knights in C.
It's not even their worst logo. Did you know? You know their other one they had like in the mid 2000s
Yeah, that one.
was like a
That one is.
slug. Looked like a
Yeah.
slug. That thing is terrible. The worst logo of all time, I think, in any
Yeah.
sport.
Florida Panthers are D. Carolina Hurricanes, which should have just kept the Hurricane logo instead of using the flags.
Absolutely.
Columbus Blue Jackets, Dallas Stars, Tampa Bay Lightning, who were just kind of a lightning bolt with blue. Toronto Maple Leafs, Washington Capitals, Blues, Utah, the Jets, and the Canucks. So yeah, we got a lot of different different jerseys in that point, but now NHL playoffs are going on right now. We are in the I always mess this up quarterfinals, I believe. Is it
No
semifinals?
semis. Well, I guess it'd technically be Eastern and Western finals if you want to say it like that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a little bit easier. It'd be semis, but yes,
I always mix it up
that's what it is. Yeah.
because it like I'm not sure if this is just me, but quarterfinals makes it sound like there's 4 teams left. That's just how
Yeah, well, it makes sense.
Yeah, but then
That's
they're
a
like,
quarter. A quarter of
yeah,
teams are left.
yeah, exactly, makes sense. But currently, let me make sure I have this right because I wrote it down, but I can't read my own handwriting. Beautiful, I know. Uh, I do know the Western Conference is Dallas and Edmonton, and East is Carolina and my
Florida.
goodness, yep, Florida. That's right. Yep.
Goddamn Panthers.
Yeah, right. Right. Actually, right now, uh, Dallas and Edmonton are playing game 2. So you guys, if you figure out when game 2 is, you'll know when I recorded this. But right now the Oilers are up 1-0. The Stars are leading the series 1-0 though. The other game is Florida's leading 2-0 right now. Over the Hurricanes. They won 5-0 on Thursday, the 22nd, and I believe they won on Tuesday. Yep, Tuesday 5-2. So guess we'll see. Next time that the Hurricanes Panthers play is the 24th. So right now, who do you see coming out of the 2 games for the Stanley Cup Finals?
I think it's going to be most likely Florida, since they've scored 10 goals and Carolina's only scored 2.
Yeah,
Florida's just, as a Bruins fan, like just watching them from when they beat us when we were setting just the world on fire that one season, breaking all the records, and then we were up. I can't remember if it was. I think it was 3-1, and they came back and 1-7. Brutal. I think they went to the finals and then lost, and then the next year they won the cup. Now we're here this year. They're built for playoffs. Yeah. Doesn't help that the refs don't call shit in the playoffs, but I'm not really one of those fans that cares about that. I love when the playoffs are violent and dirty and everything because you do what you can to win. That's how the Bruins used to be, and now they're not so much that. Matt Tkachuk is an annoying son of a bitch, but he's a great hockey player. Sam Bennett, same thing. And then they just have so much depth and talent that even if they didn't have Bobrovsky, I think they'd be fine. Then you have Bobrovsky, so that makes it a lot easier to fall back on. Carolina, I just think is a good hockey team, but they're not a good playoff hockey team. I feel like this is their limit is the Eastern Conference Finals, and they can't get farther than that. They've been like that for a while. They're just not built for the long run. Once they go up against a team that wants to get into those corners and muck and grind and everything like that, they fall apart, and they're doing it right now. Can they bounce back? Probably. It's hockey. Anything can happen.
Yeah, true.
But I'd say Florida is probably going to either win in 5 or maybe even a sweep at this point. They're just dominating them constantly. Yeah. It's so hard to get any games back from them once they feel that way. Once they smell the blood in the water, that is.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I feel like this is, like you said, Florida's series to lose, because they're dominating right now. It's like you're up 2 up games, none. You've outscored them by 8 goals, and they can't get anything going on offense. But it is, like you said, NHL, so anything can really happen. But I just don't see it happening.
I think Carolina had 7 shots through 2 periods last game. That reminds me of the Bruins against them when they played. So they just smothered you, and it's impossible to do anything. And then when you start doing well, Sam Bennett comes out of nowhere and hits your goalie in the back of the head and takes him out of the series like he did in Toronto. So
yeah.
On the west side it's a little bit harder. I really like Dallas. I like the way they're built. I think they got a really strong team everywhere. I think that would probably be the most fun series would be Dallas and Florida. But then you have just Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, who are literally 2 of the best players in the league.
Yeah.
So they could, if you can't stop them, then you're not going to beat them. You're not going to stop them, but you have to slow them down. You got to make sure they're not dominating games. And I think Dallas can do that. I think for the NHL, it'd probably be better if Connor McDavid made a final. Yeah. It would just, help because that's your guy. But for money wise, I'm sure they would love Dallas and Florida.
Yeah. And
in the NHL final. Yeah. There's just yeah, exactly. But then that brings up a whole conversation about how the league is, because Florida, Dallas, neither of them have taxes. That's why a lot of players are signing there, because they could sign for technically less money, but are still making the same amount of money if they were to sign in Canada or Boston or New York or something like that.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. But I think I'd go Dallas. I'd probably go Dallas in that and have a Dallas-Florida final.
Yeah, Dallas has won a championships in 1999, so it was
and they cheated.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a rough
foot in the crease.
Yeah. Been a rough few years for them. If it wasn't for the Mavericks, the newest or the last championship would be the Stars in 1999.
Speaking about rig too, talk about NBA. Jesus. Oh God. Get rid of Luka. Oh, here's the first round pick.
Right. But yeah, they we'll see what happens with that whole situation too. That's gonna be craziness. I think the Stars, Levin Lightsaber, who's the guy that I did a podcast with, he's a big Stars fan, and I honestly thought the Jets were going to come out of that series. I thought the Jets were a better team.
I wanted them to.
Yeah, they've had Dallas's number all season long.
That doesn't matter. I've seen so many things where you've beat a team 4 times in the regular season, and then once the playoff starts, just a totally different game. The whistles get put away for one for the most part, so that makes it a lot harder.
Yeah. Yeah, they looked a lot better in that game or that series. It looked like they won it more than Winnipeg. I mean, they've looked like they've wanted it pretty good right now. I mean, Edmonton is basically the Oilers now are basically the Penguins from like 07, 08, where they have their two main big stars. Like back then it was Malkin and Sidney Crosby in that.
I think like the Penguins had a bit more depth to them though, and goaltending. They had
Yeah,
Marc-Andre Fleury. That's
yeah,
something that Edmonton doesn't have. They got Stuart Skinner, and he's not good. If they had a decent goaltender, they'd be much better, much
yeah,
better team.
yeah. But I feel like that's kind of where they're at, where they haven't hit their stride yet. They're kind of still trying to figure out themselves, and they'll lose the first, like what happened in Detroit when we won the Stanley Cup and they lost the Stanley Cup, and then they came back and beat us next year.
Yeah, I feel like they have to get to a final though.
Yeah,
I just feel like they have to.
yeah. And they're good. I mean, Connor McDavid's good enough to actually, get them to a final, but he just needs the help around him.
It's like
Which,
the difference though between like we'll put like basketball versus hockey, obviously two different sports, but in basketball you could have that star player that can carry your team through the playoffs or at least until they face a better star player. It's
yeah,
different in hockey. In hockey, McDavid's playing maybe 1/3 of the game, probably a little less than that. So like he's only on the ice for that long. So as long as you could slow that down, and then if you could take advantage of the lower players on the roster, it becomes easier. So depth is a big part of hockey compared to like basketball.
yeah, yep. Because I mean, AI carried the 76ers back
Yeah.
in 2000.
LeBron, when he was on the Cavaliers before he went to Miami,
Yeah,
like nobody on that team, and he was killing people.
yeah,
So
yeah. Well, I guess we'll see what happens. Who do you have winning it all this year, though, in Stanley Cup?
Florida,
Yeah,
yeah, they're just like the only reason why I think they lost the year they knocked the Bruins out was because of injuries.
mhm,
Like they were just beat to shit by the time they got to the finals.
yeah,
So if they could stay like no one's healthy by the time you get to the finals, but if you're able to play still and like at a decent pace, like 80% or something like that, then they'll be fine. But if they suffer like a key injury to like Kachuk or like a Bennett or Barkov or somebody like that, then they might have an issue. But if they're all relatively healthy going into the playoffs, I don't see them being stopped.
yeah. I think the Panthers could definitely win. I think it's like we were saying earlier. I think it's the Stars Panthers, and then at that point it can really go either way. Both teams are really good, and both teams can pull it off. So, but I think it comes down to goaltending too, because I mean whoever has a better goaltender is gonna be able to carry them too. Because I mean goaltending's been a big thing. I mean as a Red Wings fan, we used to have Hasek, we had Legacy, we've had Curtis Joseph, we had Osgood. And then the last few
Osgood,
years,
Osgood for a long time.
yep, the last few years we just can't get a goal. Our goaltending has been terrible. And then,
Our goaltending was pretty decent, and the team was terrible as well. There
yep,
was like a little switch. Once your players started getting better, your goaltending got worse.
yep, it's weird. So I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing too. Is like if you can get the best of both worlds, then you're set. But I don't
Mhm.
know. Speaking of best of both worlds, as a Boston Bruins fan, you've seen both sides of that coin.
Not for a long time, but yes.
Yeah. I mean, what? Let's see. Boston won a championship, what, like 10
2011.
years? Okay, yeah,
It's
about 10 years.
2011. It's been a
Yeah.
while, but they've been in the hunt for
Hmm.
over 2 decades, roughly. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
So like when I was growing up, they were. I grew up. I was born in '91, so when I was growing up, like it was just at the tail end of their like Cam Neely, Adam Oates, Ray
mhm.
Borick being a really good team, but not being as good as Mario Lemieux's Penguins.
Yeah.
So they kept losing to them, and then they were god awful after that. Like
Hmm.
mid '90s all the way up to like the mid 2000s, they were just garbage.
Yep.
And then once they traded Joe Thornton in 2004 or five, something like that, 2006 maybe. They, it looks really bad. Chera comes in, Mark Savard comes in, things start looking better. Patrice Bergeron is a god, so everything goes up. Marchand is a fourth liner and somehow becomes a first liner. It's just crazy shit like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've gone on the roller coaster of them being really good, okay, really good again, good, really good, okay, and now they're falling off again. A little mini retool, maybe.
Yeah.
Perhaps a rebuild, who knows?
Yeah, they went 33, 39, and 10 this year, which was not the worst in hockey this year, which
Close.
yeah. The worst in hockey this year was the San Jose Sharks with a 20, 50, and 12 record. So, I mean, not too bad. But definitely could have been better. A lot of issues away. They were great at home. You guys were pretty good at home, and away just you guys fell apart. And goals against average differential was one of the worst in hockey.
Yeah, you went from Allmark and Swayman to Swayman and Corpusalo. I don't want to. Well, for one, I didn't think they should have paid Swayman the money he wanted. He had a long lockout at the beginning. He wasn't there for training camp or anything because he was waiting for his pay.
Yeah,
I was like, you don't pay this guy the money he wants for he's potentially could be a great goalie, but he's never played as a starter his entire career.
Yeah.
It's like you give him a small contract, like the 2 or 3 year bridge deal contract. Be like, all right, prove yourself. Instead of giving him the bag, they gave him the bag, and it's not looking great. But at the same time, you're out without your 2 best defensemen all season, pretty much almost the entire season with Lindholm and McAvoy. They were both out at certain times.
Yeah.
So that sucks. Obviously, you're losing a lot of locker room leadership with Allmark. Bergeron retired the year prior. Marchand takes over as captain. I don't think he did a very good job at it, even though I'm wearing a Marchand captain jersey right now. Yeah. But I don't think he was the leader they needed. Not saying he's not a good leader, but I feel like they needed somebody else in that. I think I'm probably going to be Pasternak, honestly, in the future. It's looking that way.
Now they had, ups and downs all season.
Mostly downs, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you didn't start great. You end great either, but
no, thank God. I was hoping they would go on a slide at the end. I was like, a better draft pick, please.
Yeah. But for a while, you guys did for, let's see, from, let's say, December 1st until, what was that? You guys were pretty, until March 4th, you guys had a winning record.
Yeah.
And then
that's when they yep. I think McAvoy goes out. When was the Four Nations? In February, I want to say.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, McAvoy goes out in the Four Nations, and then I think Lindholm's was out all season, pretty much. I think he broke his kneecap or something like that, and pretty early. So you had Zadorov as your number one defenseman. That's not what you want. No. I hated him at the beginning of the season. He was awful, but he grew on me. I like him, but I hate him at the same time. It's weird. It's a weird relationship.
Now, do you think there's a lot that the Bruins need to do to get back where they were before?
Oh, absolutely. For one, they should have fired their general manager, but they signed him to an extension 2 days ago. So they got the problem that the Oilers had before McDavid, where when they had Taylor Hall and Nugent Hopkins and Eberle and all those guys, where they had all the ex-Oilers as the management. The boys club.
Yep.
That's what the Bruins have right now. They got Cam Neely as president. They got Don Sweeney as general manager. Both those guys are former Bruins.
Yeah.
They're firing coaches who are going off to win Stanley Cups. Bruce Cassidy, they fire. He goes win the Stanley Cup. Jim Montgomery, they fire. He goes to St. Louis and takes them out of the bottom of the league to bring them to the playoffs. They're let's have Joe Sacco be the coach because he's great. He was terrible. There's not much out there in the coaching world unless they're going off the script and someone just comes in and is good. Who knows?
Yeah.
The way the NHL works, it's a carousel. It's like one guy gets fired and he goes to coach somebody else. There's really not many new faces that come in. It's pretty rare.
Yeah.
They desperately need a number one center.
Mm-hmm.
Desperately. That's their main issue right now. I think their defense will be okay next season if it's healthy. I'm hoping Swayman will bounce back. Like, I don't even want him to be like a world beater. I just want him to make the saves he's supposed to make, you know?
Right.
Because he was not great this season. And they have like no wingers at all. Like, they have Pasternak. Like, that's it. So their offense is shit. Let's be honest.
Yeah. I'm looking at your roster right now. You got 2 left wingers and 1 right winger right now.
Yep.
Which is crazy. But the nice thing about the Bruins, though, you guys are young still.
Well, now we are.
Yeah, your oldest player is 31.
Yeah, because he's got rid of Marchand, which was a sad day. Had to happen, but sad day. They chipped off Charlie Coyle, whose time I think was 2 years ago, but they kept him around for a little bit longer. Yeah. They got rid of Brandon Carlo, who's one of my favorite defensemen, like actual defensemen. So yeah, a lot of pieces going out the door.
Now, do you feel like you guys need to upgrade at goalie, or do you think you guys are set for that?
Depends. Like I said, I think Swayman should be okay. I think he'll have a bounce back. I still rather have kept Allmark and shipped him off and potentially got some better pieces. I don't think they got much for Allmark, which was sad. Yeah, I think that would have been the better decision. Mike DiPietro down in the AHL had a great season, so there's a potential that there's like rumors that Korpisalo wants more minutes, but his contract is like impossible to move. He's like making like $4 million or something like that, 4.5 I think, and he's a backup and he's not good. So unless he decides that he wants to like terminate his contract or something to be like a more minute guy somewhere else, that'd be great because that would get us out of that contract. But I think it'll be the same tandem, so that might be an issue. But I think they should be okay. I'm hoping.
You're hoping. Now, where do you see them finishing next year? You think they'll be a playoff team, or you think they'll just be outside the playoffs?
I think they'll be just outside. I don't think they'll be as bad, depending on what they do in the offseason, because who knows? They had a lot of money last offseason. Everyone they brought in was terrible. So like they brought in Lindholm for way too much money because they wanted to fix that center issue. That was the problem. And it didn't help. Like I predicted. I was like, that's not gonna help. He's a 2B center. Like he's not a number one. The one time he was really good was when he was playing with Kachuk and Gaudreau on his wings. Like I could have been a good center if I had those two guys on my wings. I think he's good, but like he's not the guy you want as a number one center.
Right.
Pavel Zacha would be their number 2 technically, but he's more of a winger in my eyes. So like he plays well with Pasternak. So, but like if you're looking at their top line, if you're either doing, if they sign Morgan Geekie because he's a restricted free agent, it would be Morgan Geekie, Zacha or Lindholm with Pasternak, and I think that's a terrible first line. Yeah, that's the case. Morgan Geekie was really good this year. He got like 30 goals or something, but I don't know if it's something that's going to happen every year for him. I think it was just kind of like a hot year, and it's a contract year, and I hate guys that go off on contract years because I don't trust them. So you pay them the money, then he gets like 15 goals the rest of his career or something. So
yep, they're always like, I played good, and then all of a sudden gone.
Yeah, it all depends on what they bring in, how they shore up the lines, and there's a couple of pieces we got in the trades that might be decent players. So, and then we have a top 10 draft pick this year, so I don't know if there'll be like a person that jumps into the league right away that we draft, but honestly, I would want them to do really bad this year because Gavin McKenna, who's Connor Bedard's cousin, is killing it in the juniors, and he's like the number one guy. Like no one's saying it's a race between these two. It's like this guy is the guy, centerman. Like if the Bruins somehow got the top pick for next year because they did bad this coming year, I'd be totally fine with it.
Yeah, there's a lot of choices this year in the NFL or NHL draft though. So
Hmm.
guess we'll see. Yeah,
The problem
20.
is a lot of the top choices, like at least like the top. I think we're pick 7.
Let's see.
Uh,
You guys are pick 7. Yep.
Yeah, so a lot of the picks, like from 1 to 6,
Hmm.
or the top 1 to 6 are like all centermen, and then the rest are like wingers and defensemen. And I was
Yeah.
like, I want a centerman. So unless like somebody goes off the board in front of us, then like there's a chance we get a decent centerman. But
Yeah.
there is a guy with the last name Bear, which I think would be fitting for Boston. He's only supposed to go like 14th, like middle-ish, but it'd be pretty funny if somehow we got him.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, let's see. Right now, top 10 draft picks are New York Islanders, the San Jose
Hmm.
Sharks, Chicago Blackhawks, the Utah Mammoth, the Nashville Predators, Philadelphia Flyers, Boston Bruins, Seattle Kraken, Buffalo Sabres, and the Anaheim Ducks. So, you know,
Yeah,
all
the
teams
Islanders
that,
jumped up.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
they got a lot.
which
They
is
got some
annoying.
good lottery.
Yeah, well, they're kind of ass. They kind of need it. So
Yeah, yeah. Islanders have been a hit or miss team for the last 20 years.
the Islanders. The problem with the Islanders is they got Lou Lamoriello to come in because they wanted to make the playoffs, but it was like, I'll make you make the playoffs, but you're not going to go anywhere. Like that's the worst
Right.
place to be as a hockey team. Either you're a top echelon team or you're a bottom feeder. You don't want to
Yep.
be in the in between because if you're in the in between, you're not. Unless like you're a young team and you're in the in between, it's okay. But if you're like a middle pack team and you're like top guys are like 28,
Yeah.
getting older, you don't want to be there because you're just going to progressively get worse, and then
Yeah.
you're not going to get those draft picks that are going to come in and help you out in the long run. So
And
and
that's
that's
what
where the
happened.
Islanders have been. So
And that's exactly what happened to the Red Wings too.
yeah, yeah,
They
they kept wanting to get into the playoffs to keep that streak going, and then
Yep.
that did not work for you.
Yeah, we kept Hendrik Zetterberg for so much more many years. We kept
Mhm.
Datsuk for so many years, and we kind of kept trying to build around those guys, even though they're getting older, and it
Mhm.
just didn't really work. But I guess we'll find out. Right now, game two is still 1-0, with 9 minutes and 23 seconds left of Edmonton Dallas. So see how that
I think
goes.
Edmonton was up 3-1 in the first game and they lost, so
Yeah, they
anything can happen.
lost 6-3 and had a fight
Yeah.
at the end, which is craziness. So we'll see. But do you think who do you think is a favorite next year for the Stanley Cup?
Florida Panthers.
Yeah.
Well, they might lose Sam Bennett. That's a pretty big loss.
Hmm.
You know what? I'll actually go Dallas. I think Dallas is actually like locked up with all their main guys. They got Mikko Rantanen now. A full year with Mikko Rantanen under the belt's going to be pretty crazy. Yeah, I'll go Dallas. Actually, I really like the way Dallas is built. I think they're one of the best teams. Like they got the veteran leadership, and then they have all these young guys coming up that are still not making that big time money, so they could. This is their chance to go for a cup. So,
Do you think Stanley Cups are harder to repeat than any other sport, or do you feel like there's another sport
oh,
that's harder?
absolutely, no Stanley Cup for sure, by far. Like you see it, it's so rare. Unless
Hmm.
like you go back like when there was like 6 teams or whatever, like when the
Right.
Canadians were winning it. Like I think the last time like a multi winner, besides if you're looking at like Pittsburgh when they won like two, like that's like the most you've seen in recent years is like two back to back. There's no three peats or four peats.
No.
Like I think the last time there was a four peat was the Islanders in the
Hmm.
'80s or something like that. So
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, we've had a lot of two peats. Detroit's won a couple times back to back.
Mm-hmm.
Panthers won a couple times back to back. I think, if I remember right. I
No,
think.
Panthers have won one. That was
No,
last year.
who was it? Tampa Bay then? No, who was it?
Tampa Bay.
That's what it was. I was like, I know there's a
Tampa
third
Bay
team.
won the COVID Cup,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
they won the year after that. I think is what
yeah.
happened.
Yep.
If I recall
Yeah.
correctly.
Wings. Yeah, Wings did it pretty. I mean, pretty easily the second time around. They kind of destroyed the league.
Yeah,
And
they were so good in the '90s
yeah,
and the early 2000s. Holy man!
until
You just got like Steve Eiserman, then like you just have a bunch of Russian dudes on the second line just killing it.
yeah, until the salary cap is what hurt the Red Wings. because everybody wanted to
Yeah,
play. Everybody wanted to play for the Red Wings. I mean, from 96 to like 2002. I mean, you had Hasek at one point, Robitaille, Hall. You
the
know,
fact you have Robitaille in your team with like these other guys is just insane to me.
yeah,
Same thing like
Shen,
Pittsburgh though. Pittsburgh would stack
yeah,
up too with their teams was nuts. It's
which
like I
was
want to go play with Mario Lemieux,
weird because
Jeremy Jagr, like
yeah,
shit.
well, like which was weird because the Penguins were never like they tried to build up as many players as they could around Mario Lemieux or Yager, but they never really did anything at all. They like were
They won
good,
2 in a row. I'm pretty sure.
yeah. I mean, but
Twice maybe even like with how many cups did Lemieux win now? I'm gonna
uh,
look it up because I can't remember.
Mario, I don't know. That's a great name. Speaking
Yeah,
of,
they won in 91, 92 with Yager and Lemieux, and then they didn't win anything after that.
yeah, about to
But
say when
yeah,
the hell after that, yeah. Yager, man, he was incredible. Still
he's so
is.
good. I think he would have if he stayed in the league instead of going to play in Russia for a couple of years. I think he would have
Hmm.
he would have had a good chance of beating Gretzky's records before.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
Yager, that's one of the players I wish the Red Wings would have picked up at one point when they were back in the 90s, early 2000s, because, I mean,
Mhm.
Yager was incredible just watching all the stuff he used to do and the talent he had and everything like that, but wasn't to be. But, I mean, we had,
he's insane. He's got
yeah.
everything. He's just built like a brick shit house and the hands and
Hmm.
the shot and everything. So
Yep.
the same with Lemieux though. Like Lemieux was amazing, but like he had cancer and all
Yeah.
that. So like I think like 1 year when he came back from cancer, like the goal leader had like 30 more goals than him, and he still beat him. Like
Yeah.
it's insane,
Yeah.
insane talent.
The
He's
NHL
also
was
6'6", so that helps.
Yeah, and the NHL back then was a lot different than it is now. Like
Oh yeah,
back
yeah.
then, I mean, obviously heroes they call me and myself are kind of older guys, so remember back in the day when they used to fight all the time, like no matter what.
At least to fight a game.
Yep. Remember, I you probably watched a couple of the Stanley Cup games because back in the day, in the '90s, you had the Red Wings and the Avalanche would fight all the time.
Yeah.
They
Oh
hated
yeah.
each other.
Claude Lemieux, man.
Yep. Hated each other. We used to have Chris Osgood fought against Patrick
Yeah,
Waugh
Patrick
and
Waugh. Yep.
Vernon Watt.
Goalie fights are the best.
Yep. They hated each other so much. And then you had Dallas and Detroit hated each other for a while and just like crazy. Boston, Philly for a while were
They have
fighting.
Boston, Montreal
Yep.
every time.
Yep. It was just like crazy how much more fighting was going on back then and how much more talent there was back then too. Like, I mean, there's talent now, but I mean, like back then it like each team at least had one, two, three, four, five superstars.
I think it's more so. Well, all the good teams did. There's a lot of bad
Yeah.
teams that had no superstars, but the good players really stood out because of
Yep.
how many enforcers there were on the ice who
Hmm.
were just there to beat people up.
Yep.
Like that was their job. Like literally, it wasn't like you're going out there to score a goal or to make a play. It's you're going out there to kick someone's ass.
Yep.
And that's
Yep.
what you're getting paid for. So that's not really a role anymore in today's NHL,
Yeah. Ray
which is sad.
Bork.
But
Yep. Ray
yeah,
Bork was one of those. Darren McCarty for the Red Wings was one of those, and had a few others. Jamie Pusher and a bunch of different players used to be just the guys that go out there and knock people down and beat them up.
no, Ray Bork was the best defenseman of all time.
Mhm.
Well, Nick Lidstrom. We'll say Nick Lidstrom. If we're talking Nick Lidstrom's, you can go Bobby or Nick Lidstrom, Ray Bork in whatever order.
Mhm.
Honestly, Ray
Right.
Bork was just phenomenal. It's my dad's favorite player of all time. So like, I didn't get to see him in his prime, unfortunately, because I
Yeah.
was still a toddler, pretty much. But I saw him win the Cup of Colorado, which was nice.
Brian Leach was another one of those that was in that time period too. That was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
The
yep.
Rangers.
One of the better American-born
Yeah.
players. That's for
Yep.
sure.
Madonna was another American-born player that was really good, really
Mm-hmm.
good, and
Mm-hmm.
had his career cut short because of his wrist injury that he got when he was playing for the Red Wings.
He
But
was still pretty old though when he was playing there. I think he was in his late 30s, so he was probably
yeah,
getting close to the end.
yeah, that was our problem. That's why we fired our GM because the Red Wings decided they want to go after Daniel Alfredson who was past his prime easily, and then Madonna, which passed his prime. So it was what it was. But
Mhm.
now my last couple questions for you, the NHL. Do you feel that the NHL is in a better place now than it has ever been?
Financially, probably.
Yeah.
uh, I really feel like the refs should be interviewed after games.
Mm.
I feel like a lot of in the IIHF, which is the International Ice Hockey Federation, they do. I think they're the ones who like set up the Olympics and stuff like that. That's how you know who's ranked. Which they're also in the middle of their tournament right now, which they have during the playoffs every year, where it's kind of like the World Cup in
Yeah.
a way. It's all like the good or relatively good teams. Canada just lost to Denmark, by the way, in case you didn't know. And this is not like a shitty Canada. Like Crosby, McKinnon were on the team, and they
Yeah.
lost to Denmark. So anything can happen, It's hockey. But yeah, they have the refs wear cameras, like in their helmets, so you can hear what they're saying and you can see what they're seeing.
Yep.
So I feel like it'd be much better for the league in general to show those camera angles, because there's sometimes you see a blatant high stick or a trip and you're like, how did the ref miss that? So I would like to see if the ref his head's not in the right spot or something. It's like, okay, he missed it because he's looking at it, which makes sense. Or if he's looking right at it and he's just like, that's not a call, then you could be like, why didn't you call that? Because they have they make so many ridiculous calls. And I think the main issue with the way the NHL is run, like, I don't think it's the refs' fault. It's more so the way the leagues run is the way they make things fair is, okay, we called 3 penalties on this team. We have to call a penalty on this team now, because if not, it's not fair. That's not what fair means. Yeah. Fair is if this team's breaking the rules, you call as many penalties as you want. If the other team's playing clean, you don't call a penalty on them just because the other team's. That's why Florida gets away with shit in the playoffs, by the way.
Yeah.
Because they're constantly they'll constantly run people. Then it's like, well, we can't call this one because there'd be too many penalties. It'll be unfair. So that's why people take advantage of that shit. Games become out of hand because of that.
Yeah.
Not that I don't mind people getting their asses beat because it's funny, but
yeah.
But that'd be my one thing I changed. I think everything else, like the game's gotten quicker. One of the other things I changed is a 3-2-1 point system. So 3 points for a win, 2 points for an overtime win, 1 point for a shootout win, and 0 points for a loss, no matter what. Because why are you getting points for losing? I think that's stupid. It would change a lot because there's so many teams that get into the playoffs based off of overtime losses.
Right.
Or and there's other teams that are like, okay, we'll just go into. We're not going to push too hard either side because we need a point, so we're just going to go into overtime, and then whatever happens. It's a crapshoot. So if you gave like the extra point for winning in regulation, I think you'd see a lot more games finish in regulation.
Definitely. Yeah. T Long in the chat said that he feels like, or that T Long feels like that they need a eye in the sky reffing or a super challenge for penalties like the UFL.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, it'd be also nice if, because like how many times they're like, okay, they're gonna go looking in Toronto now, and we'll see. Yeah. They never really explain half the time what they're seeing or anything. Right. It'd be better if like some guy just came on like the jumbotron instead of making the ref go out and he's like, okay, this is what happened. It's a goal or it's not a goal, or explaining what goaltender interference is, because nobody knows what it is anymore. It's like sometimes the goalie gets rocked and it's like, it's fine. And then other times he gets tapped and it's like, it's not a goal. So just consistency in calls would be helpful.
That'd be real nice. But did you know that this year is a what's the word I'm looking for? Give me a second. It's the oh my goodness. Next year is actually the 30th year anniversary. There's the word I was looking for. Of the Michigan goal.
Oh, like from the dude from Michigan of all teams.
Yeah.
It was the Wolverines, right? I believe.
Mike Blake.
Yeah, I
Scored.
remember seeing that for the first time, being like, "What the hell?" Like in like the mid 2000s or something.
Yep, 1996. He scored the first.
Yeah.
It was Michigan goal, which is kind of cool. If you've ever seen the Mighty Ducks, they kind of sort of give you an idea how they do it. They kind of he lifts it up on a stick and then he puts it in. But basically, Mike Legg was behind the goal, picked it up on a stick, and then just tossed over the goalie's back right
Yeah,
over the
it's
goal.
like lacrosse. That's the best
Yep.
way to describe it.
Yep.
It's just crazy to think because you said it's like going to be 30 years.
Yeah.
Uh, that that happened 30 years ago, but it's only starting to become like a thing people
Mm-hmm.
try now.
Yep.
Really, so like you see it, I've seen it here and there in like juniors, like different clips, like growing up.
Yeah.
And then now it's becoming, I guess, it probably has something to do with like the YouTube culture and whatnot. People could see it more
Definitely.
often. You're not just seeing it on like Sports Center, right? Every once in a while or something like that.
Yeah.
So kids are seeing that constantly, like, oh, look at this sick move. I'm gonna figure it out because that's how things work. Like when
Yeah.
Tony Hawk landed his 900, it was like, oh, that's ridiculous. And like 2 weeks later, it's like kids are doing 900s.
Yeah, that was an iconic moment too. I remember watching that, and because
Yeah, I watched
they
that live. That's how
yep,
old I am.
yeah, the ESPN wasn't supposed to show it because the whole situation, or they were done shooting or whatever, and then all of a sudden they're like found out they had like 20 minutes or something extra or something like that. They screwed up on count, and then they just let Tony Hawk go out there and try and see if he could hit the 900, and he eventually hit it.
Yeah.
Wasn't the smoothest 900 that he's probably hitting his
No,
career at that point,
no,
but
it was first though.
yeah,
That's the difference.
yeah, it was pretty. Now, I will ask, since I'm asking about the Michigan goal, you think that's the most well-known goal in hockey history, or you think there's something else more?
There's bigger goals for sure. It's probably like the most viral
Hmm.
goal, if that makes sense. Um, but no, there's definitely bigger goals of just playoff moments and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um, I'd say if you were to talk about like biggest goal, it's probably most of the people would probably know the Brett Hall foot in the crease against
Hmm.
Buffalo. Like that's a pretty big deal. Like when you talk about hockey goals,
Yeah.
so the foot in the crease, the foot was in the crease.
Yep.
That's up there for hockey fans, anyways.
Yeah.
I'd say that's a pretty big goal. Bobby Orr's jumping through the sky. That's I think it's framed everywhere, so that's a
Yep.
pretty well known goal. I'm sure Ovechkin's goal that he broke Gretzky's is going to go down in history as a pretty big goal as well that people talk about for a long time. So
Yep.
yeah,
The only one that I think it's funny because they named, they have the mission goal, they have, different names for goals.
mm-hmm.
The only other one that I remember having a name and I thought was so weird, but it made so much sense was the Statue of Liberty.
Statue of Liberty goal. I'm not sure what that one is. Which
So
one's
that
that?
that one was back in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Waugh in goal for the
Oh,
Avalanche.
is that the one where he wants to pick up the puck?
Yep, he lifts
That's
it
on
over
the
his
ground.
head. Yep, the Statue of Liberty goal. That's what they called it. Which is such I didn't understand it at first, but then when you actually
Yeah,
see the picture, his hands
yeah,
are
it
up
looks.
here.
Yeah,
Looks like the
yeah,
Statue of Liberty.
yeah,
So good.
yeah. I remember
But
that.
yeah,
What an idiot.
but that was another thing that was great in the 90s that I don't think is ever going to happen again. Is the goalie situation in the 90s was so good. I mean, everybody had a great, had
I
great
take the
goalies.
goalies of today over the goalies of the '90s in a heartbeat.
Uh, I mean, Patrick Waugh.
I think Patrick Waugh, Marty Brodeur, and Hasek are like three of the best goalies of all time. But anyone after that is just garbage in the '90s compared to those guys.
Mm,
Like I think like it's hard because obviously there's different styles. Like
mhm.
when Gretzky was scoring his goals, no goalies were going down on their
Oh
knees
no.
for the most part. And like when Brodeur started coming in and wow, like they started doing the butterfly and goaltending
Mhm.
changed
Yeah.
dramatically after that. And then yeah, but now like goalies are insane,
Mhm.
flexible, everything, and Tim Thomas is
Uh,
still the best goalie of all time. So
I will ask one more question, and then I will let you go back to his wife's and actually in the chat. Um,
yeah.
it's Nap Karen Nap, which kind of funny story about her. Hang time. She was introducing that. But my question for you though. Now this has been a hot topic for a lot of Red Wings fans like myself and some NHL fans. Chris Osgood, Hall of Fame or no?
I'd say so.
Yeah.
Like, why not? Like, how many cups does he have?
3 at least.
Yeah, at least I was gonna say, like, obviously not like if you're thinking like greatest goalies of all time, you're not really thinking Chris Osgood. Let's be
Mm-hmm.
honest. Like, you're not like no one's going like Martin Brodeur, Hasek,
Wow,
uh,
Osgood.
yeah, Osgood. You know,
Yeah.
like when you're thinking goalies probably like from the '90s, that goalie is gonna pop your head. But if you're going like all time, you're like,
Yeah.
he probably doesn't pop up right away. But because the teams he was on, but like
Right.
he's still 3 Stanley Cups. Like
400
it's
wins.
insane. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's insane. It's like it's not. It's different if you're a player compared to a goalie. I find like a goalie is the last backstop. And if you're winning three
Hmm.
Stanley Cups, like you're not a bad goalie.
No, I feel
Like
like that.
one time could be a fluke. Like
Hmm.
Antti Niemi with Chicago, he won the cup. But like after that,
Yeah.
nothing. It's like Osgood did it 3 times. I think he was pretty good at his position.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, I know he's like I think he's won 4 overall. I think only 3 of him he was the starter at that point.
Yeah, like he was back up for like Vernon or something, right?
Yeah.
Or no, Hasek.
Yeah,
Hasek.
he was backup for
Yeah.
Vernon and Hasek at one point, but
Oh, okay.
Hasek
Yeah.
had a bad couple years and or a couple games, and Osgood came in and won the Stanley Cup for him at that point. But
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. I feel like as a hockey
That
fan,
that alone should be.
yeah,
Well, Osgood came in for Dominic freaking Hasek and played better
right,
than him and won a Stanley Cup. It's like, okay, here you go. Here's your ring.
yeah. I
Like,
don't know. It's just me. I feel like as a hockey player, I mean, like I get that he wasn't like Patrick Waugh, he wasn't Martin Brodeur, he wasn't one of the big 3 from the '90s, but you still like out of the '90s, you think of like 3 teams. You think of the Avalanche, think of the Red Wings, and then you had
probably New
the
Jersey.
New Jersey and Penguins
Yeah.
in the beginning of the '90s.
Yeah, but like I like when I think like '90s, like growing up, anyways,
Hmm.
like it was Colorado, Detroit, New Jersey, Dallas. Like those were like the top
Yep,
teams for a
yep,
while. So yeah,
yep. And they were. I
it's
mean,
like
just to mention
Ed
all.
Belfour,
Yeah,
so
yeah. Which I'm sorry, but like if is he in the? I don't think he's in the NHL Hall of Fame. I don't think. Maybe he is. I don't know. Now I gotta look it up because now I'm kind of curious. But I feel like Osgood is better than Belfour. That was just me. Oh, but he's fifth. Yeah, he was inducted in the Hall of Fame in 2011. I don't know. I just feel like Osgood was better than Belfour. That's just me though.
Belfour won one cup. I think he was the
Belfour.
goalie when Dallas beat Buffalo. So
Yeah, yeah. Belfour won one. And like I said, Osgood's her name. Ooh, where's he at? Chris Osgood. Chris Osgood won 3 Stanley Cups in his career, all at the first. Yeah, I was wrong. Won 3. One is the backup, and his last 2 is starting. But
yep.
yeah, he only missed 1 championship. That was the 2002 championship.
Yeah, and they
But
were in the freaking playoffs like every year too. So
yeah, and he
yeah,
has 401 wins over.
I think his record with St. Louis was pretty decent too, if I recall correctly. But
Yeah, I mean, he's just
because he went from Detroit to St. Louis, and I think he came back or something
yeah.
at one
I
point.
mean,
Yeah.
in his worst. I mean, even let's see, his worst year was with the Blues because he got traded from New York to the Blues at that point and went 4-3-2, and that was his like worst year.
Yeah.
Because I mean, even let's say 2007, 2008, he had 27 wins, and at that point, he was 2007, 90 or 72, so he was like 30 something,
hmm
which still pretty good. But I don't know. I just think personally, I think there's a few players that are outside the Hall of Fame that should be in the Hall of Fame, but I don't know.
Let's put it this way. He finished with a 249 goals against average, so 2.5 goals a game, and a 905 save percentage. So it's like, as a 90s goalie, that's pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
And then playing 2 decades, winning 3 cups, technically 2 if you want to say as a starter, and also being 5'8".
Yep.
As a goalie, like, he's a good goalie.
Yep, I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. That's just me. I don't know. But I want to thank you for being on this episode. If people do want to come and find you, where should they come and see you at?
Literally everywhere at Hero They Call Me. Literally everywhere. Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, Blue Sky, wherever. Just look up Hero They Call Me and you'll find me somewhere. Grinder.
Grinder. Well, I want to thank Here They Call Me and thank you all for watching this episode. Definitely have to have him on again in the future. Probably talk about YouTube and Twitch going forward.
Sounds good.
How you started and everything like that. So,
Yep.
thank you all for watching.
Bye.